hoping many people can join. Yesterday I had to leave ridiculously early in the morning, so I ended up doing the live stream from like 6:45, and I think a lot of you were still working or driving home. So yeah, but still we got a really fun topic. What did we talk about? Can't remember what we talked about, but we had a really good time. So if you missed that, you can check the archive. So today is hi Dawn, good morning, go Team Mary. So we are making some progress for the Advent calendar. Tennessee, go Team Mary. And today is the 10th. Oh boy, it's so slow. Like when you're counting down something, when you're doing something every day, it's really, really slow. 10 is right here. That is up here. But I think I should do that like every day. Because like I always complain like, oh, year flew by and then I don't have much time, right? So if I'm counting every single day, like maybe countdown from 365, maybe I feel like it's a long year. So that's my new strategy. But the tree is getting to be kind of close to it, not complete, but it looks more like a Christmas tree with all the decoration. I have a lot of faces. I have a lot of bears and snowmen and oh, but there's only one Santa Claus. No, I have two Santa Clauses. So let's see what we can get today. And today, the title for today is Time I Lost Everything, and I did lose everything. Probably that's the scariest time of my life, I think. And you will see why. I realized that I've told this story so many times to my friends and families. Hello, but I don't think I've ever shared this story on the internet. Maybe Patreon. So the Patreon people might like that story, but it's kind of scary. But anyway, so and then I want to answer one question that I often get, and then when I said when I say this is the truth, but still some people argue with me. So I've got proof that to I got proof to back my statement. So we're gonna start with that. Anyway, so today's 10. So let's open 10. Here we go. Hiya, James. Oh, Santa Claus again. It's a different hat. I think it's a different hat. So this is the most Santa Claus looking like Santa Claus. Ta-da! Red hat. I got golden hat. I got golden hat and green hat before. But I got red hat. You know what? I'm decorating this side only. So let's go to the back. And then just hang it somewhere. Somewhere at the bottom. No, that doesn't go in. Okay, here we go. Ta-da! I don't feel like it's Christmas yet. I don't know why. Oh, maybe because I haven't really listened to Christmas music. When I was in Ehime, I drive around town. So I have my playlist or some sort of like Amazon Music, YouTube Music, or whatever. And I usually listen to some songs while I'm driving because Japanese radio station is just so boring. Then I usually switch over to Christmas song around like November, the end of November. So, but like since I come to Tokyo, I don't do that. So I don't feel like Christmas yet. But I should probably change up my routine in the morning and then maybe listen to Christmas song a little bit while I'm getting ready for work. Anyway, so the question, or more like argument, I get not too often, but often enough, is that I'm not Japanese. People are like, well, it started out like saying like, when I speak Japanese in the live stream or maybe in the video, that's rare, but sometimes I do. And people would go into the comment and say, "Oh, you speak really good Japanese," right? I mean, that's fine. And then I get a lot of like, "Are you American?" And where are you from is might be fine. And when I say like, I'm from Japan, I was born and raised in Japan, my parents are Japanese, and then if they understood, that's fine, right? But then there are some people argue with me like, no, you can't be Japanese, you have American accent, right? I was like, I mean, I have lived in the States, but that doesn't mean that I am from the States. I was born and raised in the States. And so, yeah, I got proof. And I was like, how can I prove this? And I know there are some arguments, even if I show this, and people can say, oh, but like, but here, the definite proof that I am Japanese. I have Japanese passport, and Japan doesn't allow dual citizenship. So in order to get a Japanese passport, you have to be a Japanese citizen, and I am Japanese citizen. So of course, there is I don't know the English phrase for this, but they have the system called Kika, and that means a foreigner who was born and raised, who has a foreign citizenship, can be a Japanese. So they can obtain a Japanese citizenship with some procedure. And of course, you have to be eligible for that. You can't just be a random foreigner and say, hey, oh, I want to be Japanese, so I want to change my citizenship. So you can't do that. But in order to become a fully Japanese and get the Japanese passport, you have to give up your own citizenship. So either you were Canadian, Australian, Chinese, it doesn't matter. You cannot have both. Um, but I have my Japanese passport from when I was a baby. Okay, so this, I don't want to open it because I don't know. It's kind of like similar to driver's license, that there are part that you can. I just can't renew. Don't. That's a really good argument there. But yeah, I gotta do a little bit of research before I actually show my passport inside. Because there are certain numbers that you have to cover it, right? And then this is live stream. I can't just like, oh, I showed something that I shouldn't show, and I can blur it out later on. It's not something like that. But this passport is valid until the 11th of July 2027. So it is still valid. And if you are half Japanese, and yes, you can get a Japanese passport and whatever the other country until you are 18. And at the end of age of 18, you have to choose either one of the passport that you want to hold. I mean, like which citizenship. My friend Jasmine, she's half Japanese and half Canadian. So her mom is Japanese from Ehime, and her dad is Canadian. And she doesn't have Japanese citizenship, so she has Canadian passport and she is Canadian. However, we talked about the visa the other day. It was like a really long, heavy talk from the morning. If you are interested how to get a visa in Japan to work, then you can go through. I think I talked about like visa or how to work in Japan or how to start a business in Japan, something like that. And so, but because one of your parents is Japanese, you can always get a spouse/child visa if you want to come to Japan and work. So you don't really need a citizenship. The big difference is that A, do you want to get a Japanese passport? That's the one thing. And the other thing is that do you want to be able to vote? If you want to vote, then yes, you have to have a citizenship. But if you don't care, then I'm pretty sure the fully foreigner, like fully non-Japanese person who even if they give up their own citizenship and then trying to become a Japanese citizen, I don't think you can get the right to vote though. That's something you might want to look up before you actually change. But I've seen like some YouTubers said like, oh, I became Japanese and they're showing their Japanese passport. Um, but I don't know. If you just want to live in Japan, then you don't have to have a Japanese passport. You don't have to be a citizen, right? So, yeah. Anyway, so starting with that, so here's a proof. Here's a proof. I'm Japanese. And it actually says in here where I am from, and it says Ehime. So yeah. Hey dog, go Team Berry, aloha. Um, how to become Japanese Prime Minister? Well, to become Japanese Prime Minister is not like becoming a president in the U.S. So still not good enough proof. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Do I have to give you like the birth certificate or something? Anyway, so I don't know how to give my birth certificate. I probably have to fly back to Ehime for that. All the city halls are not connected nationwide, so you really physically have to go back to where you are registered. But the becoming prime minister is not really no. Because the most of the voting system and then the politics are the same in the U.S. and Japan. However, the one big difference is that the citizens don't have the direct right to vote for prime minister. So we have the major party that kind of takes up the I learned all that and then I can't remember any of those words. I took politics in the US, but it's all gone. But anyway, the majority of the council, and they just like vote among themselves who becomes the prime minister. So that's one of the reasons why in the States the presidential election is very big and people actually care about, but we don't have any right of saying who's gonna be our leader. So that's why especially young people are like, you know. Yeah, Japan has right and left parties. Maybe I can do like a quick research, and then we can talk about politics. I think that's less of risk of me talking about any religions, right? So I don't want to talk about religion. I usually don't want to talk about politics, but we're not talking about politics in the U.S. or anything. We're talking about politics in Japan and how things work. So I mean that's something that's interesting to talk about. So that's one good topic right there. So anyway, I bought Japanese passport to cover Tokyo has. Oh no. Oh no. Anyway, yeah, that should be interesting. But today I want to talk about the time that I lost everything, and I did lost everything. That was scary. Okay, so that was back when I just turned 18, and at the time, under Japanese law, I was still a minor. And I just graduated from high school and I got into university in the States. But that was after I spent a year in Hawaii as an exchange student. And so that was my second time going abroad all by myself. And so I grew up a lot during the past 2 years, I was 16 the time that I studied in Hawaii, and I didn't know left to right, like nothing. I just everything that I did then was the first time, and a couple years ago, before I studied abroad in the States for university. So when I was in high school, not a couple years from now. And so when I was in Hawaii, of course, everything was new to me. So I was very cautious, and I always cautious, right? Especially I'm traveling alone. And my teachers in Hawaii, they warned us, everyone, like people in the mainland are very aloof and cold and mean. And some of my teachers would share their stories of traveling to the mainland. That's what Hawaiian people call the main, the yeah, the state of America. Anyway, I forgot. James, I think you gave me the super chat. Thank you so much. I vote for Sherry for the Prime Minister. Thank you. Yay. But yeah, so when I was booking airplanes to go to Missouri, I really wanted to take a Singapore airline. That's one of my favorite airlines. I haven't yet gotten on a Emirates, and so that's one of the things I want to do. But among all the U.S. airlines and Japan Airlines, I liked Singapore Airline, so I want to take that desperately. And JAL service gotten really bad over the years. They used to be one of the best. And so one time I took JAL and I was like, I got disappointed, and I like accidentally got on the Singapore Airlines, and then I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so since then, if I have any opportunity to get on Singapore Airlines, I do. But Singapore Airlines don't run widely. It doesn't cover the wide range of countries and regions. And so the only flight that I could get was from Narita or Haneda to the Los Angeles. I was like, that's good enough. I can get the domestic airlines from any other cheap options. And so what I did was I flew to the not states, I flew to Tokyo from Ehime. And then I spent a couple days in Tokyo. And then I got on a Singapore Airlines and then flew to Los Angeles. And then I changed to a Delta and go to Missouri directly from there. So I had 2 stops. And because I decided to choose a Singapore Airlines and then Delta Airlines weren't connected. Usually when you travel abroad or go a big long distance, and you would choose your like the city that you leave and then the city you arrive, right? And then even if there are stops along the way, it's all connected because it's a one big booking. But what I did, I got cocky because I was like, oh, I went to the States before, right? And so I decided to book everything separately. That was the biggest mistake. And yeah, Delta. Lately I hear a lot of good things about Delta. Back then, Delta was one of the crappy ones. I felt like the aircraft was poorly made also, so I thought that I was gonna die. But anyway, so I checked in for Singapore Airlines in Tokyo, and then they said that, oh, this is international flight, so you can check 2 luggages. And I was like, yeah, maybe. And then I got a big one and then a little small one. It was carry-on. I put a couple days of clothing and then basic, makeup and then charger and then things like that, in a little suitcase that I can carry on. And then I had a little purse. And then I had the big one. So I was going to just check in the big one, but then I was like, because they recommended, I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I can. And I checked both in. And I arrived in Los Angeles, and then I picked them both up, and I had to drop off to Delta check-in. That's the last time I saw both my luggage. So the transition actually went smoothly, even though I booked those flights separately. No, I actually had one more stop. So I had to go to Chicago. That's right. I had to go to Chicago and then Missouri. So there are like two Delta airplanes that I had to get on. Yeah, I made a mistake. And so I checked in and I got the tickets for Delta. Like, cool. And as I waited, and then I got on the next flight. And I arrived in Chicago. And in Chicago, I saw the arrival board or departure board or whatever to see where and when my next flight is. That was the last flight that I had to take from Chicago to Missouri, like St. Louis. And then what I saw on the board, it says canceled. Like, damn, right? Well, it happens, right? So, okay, I'm just going to the counter, and then I ask what I have to do. And like American staff at the airport are so bad. They're not nice at all. And then like she just like look at my ticket, and then they look at me and I say, hey, like, why are you here? Like, what kind of question is that? Like, why are you here? You flew me here, right? It's a Delta to the counter. And I was like, well, I got on your aircraft and I came here because that's what my ticket said. And she goes, yeah, your flight from Chicago to St. Louis got canceled due to some sort of weather issue. So your flight, the new flight was actually direct flight, and then they bumped up to a business class. Like, oh, I miss business class. And from Los Angeles directly to St. Louis. Nobody told me that. And I used the ticket to come to Chicago, and then they let me in. I wasn't supposed to get through the gate, but I did for some reason. And so I was like, now what am I gonna do? And I said, like, well, we don't take any flights change or anything. We don't arrange here. You're gonna you just walk for maybe like 100 meters from here, and there's like a wide open place with a lot of phones, and you just need to call. Just pick up the phone, and then that directly transfer you to a customer service. Oh my god, I'm done, right? And then I walked over. At that time, I'm not thinking about the luggage yet, and then I reached to the phone booth, and then I called them and say, hey, this is what happened, and then the staff told me to call this. And they were like, okay. They were not too mean, but they're like, we're sorry to hear about that. And the next flight that I can arrange is like ridiculous. Oh, they're like, first they're like, oh, it just left. I was like, what? And then they're like, well, the next flight available directly from Chicago to St. Louis is like next day. I was like, I'm not gonna spend the night in an American airport. That's not that can't be safe. And I was like, no, just find me something, right? At that point, at this point, I'm kind of upset. And then they're like, oh, so like if you don't mind having like an extra stop, I can send you to, I can't remember, somewhere. Like technically, I'm going back to the west side, and then I can get on to the next flight to go to Missouri. I was like, fine, that's better than I have to spend the night in the airport. And no, I didn't have to pay for the new flight. And I asked them, like, do I have to? And they're like, no, that's fine. And then my worry for my luggage kicked in. And I asked them, so I want you to double check where my luggage is, because I need the luggage. I need to be able to pick up at the airport in St. Louis. And the customer service assured me that like when you change flights, your luggage will follow you. So there's no worry there. It's gonna come follow you around and then you can pick up at St. Louis. Okay. Right? At the time I still believed them. Now I don't. Now I don't any of customer service unless they provide me with proof. And I waited, and then my flight got delayed, like 3 hours. And then during that time, they changed the gate back and forth in Chicago Airport. I don't know the official name, but it's huge. So I gotta go there and there and there. And then finally I got on, and then I made another stop, got off, spent few hours there, and I got on, and then finally I yeah, like I don't think back in the day we didn't have air tags. Air tag is pretty new. That I'm talking about like 10 years ago. So 10 years ago we didn't yeah, we didn't have anything like that. I didn't have a iPhone at the time. I had a flip phone. Um yeah, and then I finally arrived in St. Louis. And in St. Louis, I was supposed to arrive in St. Louis around 9 a.m. Arranged that so that it's still light out, and I can just grab a. We don't really have public transportation, so I can just grab a cab and then just drive to a. No. I had a hotel booked. But I knew that they don't have the airport shuttle bus, and so if it's light up, I can just grab a cab, or I could just, maybe you try use public transportation. But I arrived there at 9 p.m. And then I found out that my luggage wasn't there. I waited until all the luggage were at the baggage claim. I was like, I'm done. I don't have anything. I checked in everything. And I just had a little purse, right? And so I went to the customer service in the airport, and then I talked to this guy was really nice actually. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna find where your luggage is, so can I see your tickets? And then he looks like how like he can see all the movement of mine. And so he's like, what happened? And as I explained to him, and he was like, okay, but looks like your luggage is still at Los Angeles. So I didn't get on the plane that they prepared for me, because the flight from Chicago to St. Louis got canceled. But I didn't get on the flight that they prepared in Los Angeles, so my luggage got held. They lost track of me. But I flew to Chicago anyway. And I was like, okay. So I told him that I gotta go to a hotel. I don't even know how to get there. And my batteries are running out. I only have phone. I think I have like an iPod or something, iPod Touch. So as long as I have Wi-Fi, I can call my parents or something. And then he's like, well, he was nice enough to give me any they had like T-shirt and then some accommodation for some reason. I think it's because it's for because it's airlines. And so I'll give you a face wash and things like that. Like we have like a little pouch, and then I can give you like a T-shirt, right? And I was like, oh, thank you so much, right? And then he is like, oh, if you are staying at this hotel, there's like a phone booth that you can call. And I was like, okay. and then he actually followed me. And so I try to like call them. I'm panicking for one. And I don't like calling. I didn't like calling at that time. Japanese phone line is super clear. I'm checking the time. Okay, clear, but like American phones signal is really bad. So like there's a lot of noise, and so I can't really understand what the other person is saying most of the time. And so he actually followed me, and I was on the phone, and then he was like, okay, let me talk to them, right? And then he talked to them, and he told me, okay, there's a shuttle bus coming. And then at that time I was kind of questionable because I remember the hotel that I booked they didn't have shuttle bus. So I was like, but well, he, American local, said that there's a shuttle bus coming. So I just decided to believe him, right? And then he was like, okay, so you go out of that exit. And the St. Louis airport to this day, it's freaking amazing. You cannot meet the person who are picking you up for some reason. Locals say the same thing. I go out. I'm thinking of like going out from the same exit, and I end up from the different exit. And so I went out, and I wait for the bus to come, and I double check with the driver, and they're like, yeah, we are going to this a hotel. I was like, cool. And I get on. I arrived, and I was waiting for the check-in. And it was a nice hotel, right? And finally I got a Wi-Fi, so I called my mom. But my iPod Touch is also dying. And yeah, at least I knew that where my luggage was, right? And then actually the Delta issued me like an online login, and so I can check where the luggage is. And so I could use a hotel, what is it? A computer. But then I called my mom half crying, and I was like, oh, this has happened and the battery's dying, so I'm probably not gonna be able to call you again until I get everything back. And I went to the front of the line, and then the lady says that you don't have reservation here. Oh my god, I'm so, and that was like 10 p.m. I don't want to walk outside 10 p.m. in St. Louis. It's not an option. And so I told her like I don't care how much it costs. I want to stay here. I don't know where I made my reservation. So and then she was like, sorry, it's fully booked. And she offered me complimentary cookie. She was really nice, and she was like, well, she knows like how dangerous it is to go out at night, right? And so she was like, oh, can I see your booking information? I did, and I was like, oh, this is like we have a different branch, and so that's a little further than the airport, and they don't have. I think they don't have a shuttle bus from the airport but they did from this hotel to that hotel because they're like sister hotels. And then so she was like, okay, you go outside and then there's a shuttle bus there, so you take that shuttle bus. Like, thank God, right? And then I got on the shuttle bus, and then I arrived at the hotel that I made the reservation. And then I was able to get into the hotel room. But then at that time, I had a MacBook with me. So even if I couldn't charge my iPod Touch to contact my parents, if I can get a charger for my MacBook, I could. So I asked the staff there, can I have the charger? And they had like a bucket of like different charger, but I don't know why, but they didn't have charger for MacBook. And so I called my mom again from my room saying, "Hey, I arrived in the hotel. I'm going to go back to the airport to see if I can pick up my luggage tomorrow. But for now, I'm safe." And then the battery died. So I had nothing to contact anyone. But well, at least I'm safe, right, in the hotel room. So I spent the night there, And the next morning, I think used the computer in the lounge. It was like free for everyone, and I checked my where my luggage was at night and the next morning, but somehow it keeps getting error, and so I can't really see where my luggage was. Ray, thank you so much for super chat. Always love a good air travel horror story. I know, right? And then the next morning, I checked again with the computer, but oh, and then Ray, this is your first super chat. Thank you so much. Um, but and then I was like, you know what? Anyway, I gotta go to the university today. The airport is closer to the university. I can just get a cab and then go and check if my luggage will arrive. It's not. I'll think then. And I get a cab and then I went back to the airport and I went to the Delta. And then thank God it was like same staff who was very kind to me the day before, and he was like, "Oh, you survived the night, right?" I was like, "Yeah," and I think I told him the story as well. Like I got into the wrong shuttle bus, yada yada yada, and he was like, "I'm sorry to hear that," but like, and then I was like, "But I can't check if my luggage has arrived. The website keep giving me the error," and then he's like, yeah, you had a really bad day. But then he went to the back and then looked my baggage tag and I got my luggage back. So after that, I was like so happy and everything went smoothly. I just need to grab a cab again and with my luggage, and I just need to go all the way to the university. And after I arrive at university, everything will be taken care of by people there, right? So, but that is when I lost everything, and that should be a good time. I have to leave in 5 minutes, so for once I didn't run out of time telling a story. I usually do, but it's far from a bad day actually. Yeah, that's why I titled it when I lost everything, you know? It's not just a bad day. It's just like I lost everything in the country that I have never visited. I went to Hawaii before, but like, and then it's less safe than Japan, right? So, yeah. I knew that like I wouldn't follow anyone, right? So I, at a time like when Japanese tourists get snatched by a kidnapper and then ended up dead is because they just, you know, grab a taxi with a stranger, or like they just follow random like kind person at the airport. So I knew I was smart enough not to do that, but I wasn't that naive, but I got cocky. I thought that I could book any flights that I want, and I didn't, you know. But like it's still to this day I don't get why I went through the security check. Like they do the beep thing, right? And I had the ticket from Los Angeles to Chicago, and then if that flight was canceled, and if they prepared a new flight for me, and then why didn't they reject me to go on board? That is mystery. Yeah. Anyway, so the whole, you know, situation experience got me here. So yes, I'm grateful of my experience. And I gotta get going. So thank you for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.